I rise today in support of my amendment to H.R. 5, which will ensure children's products are safe for use. In 2015, there were an estimated 254,200 toy-related injuries treated in emergency departments across the nation. Tragically, 15 children were killed in toy-related incidents that same year. As an emergency medicine physician, I have treated children who have fallen victim to these accidents. H.R. 5, the Regulatory Accountability Act, prioritizes cheaper alternatives for companies over the safety of our children. To me, this is unconscionable. It is wrong. It is not the direction we should be taking our nation. My amendment to H.R. 5 will ensure that an agency rule regarding the safety of children's products or toys are not delayed by the bureaucratic hurdles that H.R. 5 imposes on federal agencies. My simple amendment provides a straightforward safety net for our sons and daughters across the country. Our children should always be our priority. The facts are clear. A vote against my amendment is a vote to put a company's bottom line above the safety of our children. And so I urge all of my colleagues to support this common sense amendment to protect our children. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from California reserves. For what purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania rise?
I rise to claim the time in opposition to the amendment.
The gentleman is recognized.
Like other carve-out amendments just offered, this amendment would strike from the bill the Separation of Powers Restoration Act and the essential judicial review provisions of the Regulatory Accountability Act. It should be rejected. We should not be settling for weak judicial review that produces rubber stamps of agency action. We should be voting for the strong judicial review reform in the bill that prevents judicial rubber stamps. Beyond that, the bill would exclude from Title I's rulemaking reforms children's toys and product safety rules. But again, the bill does nothing to prevent good rules in these areas. It would produce better rules, rules that are smarter and less costly, freeing resources for job creation and higher wages. Smarter rules are precisely what we need to protect children's health and safety. And more jobs and higher wages are what are needed to help families provide for their children. I urge my colleagues to oppose the amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Pennsylvania reserves. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to emphasize what is at stake here. We're talking about delaying or foregoing regulations that protect our children. Regulations that give parents like me the peace of mind that when I buy a bottle for my daughter Sky, I know it is safe for her to use. And then when I buy a product that is labeled age appropriate for my daughter Sage, I can reasonably expect it will not contain small parts that Sage could swallow and send her to the emergency room with an obstructed esophagus that will require emergency surgery. For me, as a dad, it's personal. And for our nation, it is essential. This is common sense legislation. I urge my colleagues to put aside partisanship, politics, and corporate greed, and think about the children in their lives who could be harmed by this bill. Vote yes on my amendment to protect children and save lives. I yield back.